Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the fifth chapter of the Collegedunia Connect Season 1. The COVID-19 crisis has resulted in India going into an unprecedented nationwide lockdown. Specifically, the lockdown has been extended, as we all know, till 3rd May, and we still don't know whether the lockdown is going to extend further or not. The Indian government has responded to this pandemic by providing several guidelines, including the restricting the movement of people and social distancing. In the higher education sector as well, the University Grants Commission, the UGC, and the other apex education bodies have also issued the COVID-19 specific guidelines for the Indian higher education institutions, which is resulting in 1,000 universities and 40,000 colleges temporarily closing down, the students being asked to go home, and efforts are being undertaken to move these classes online. These measures will have varying degrees of impact on the 3.7 crore students enrolled in and about 14 lakh faculties employed by the system. Close to about 50 lakh of the students who will be looking to enroll in the higher education institution in this academic season are going to be impacted. Institutions planning for their admission cycle need to muster their limited resources, have an agile response plan to the COVID-19, and plan the resilience to minimize the impact on their enrollments, the diversity of students, and their revenues. With this perspective in mind, let me introduce to this exciting panel for the afternoon, Mr. Aditya Barlia, the co-founder and co-pro-chancellor for the APJ Satya University. Mr. Barlia, as the member of management board of Swern Group and the APJ Satya Group, is a young entrepreneur, an educationalist, and a prolific writer, a multifaceted personality who balances his role in the corporate world with the philanthropic dedication toward education. Mr. Barlia has, to his credit, several innovative industrial, entrepreneurial, and education initiatives both in India and abroad. As a serial entrepreneur, Mr. Barlia has set up several companies and startups that offer niche solutions in the areas of education, of industrial innovation. Glad to have you on board, sir.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being there, and thank you for having me.
Dr. Prashant Jain, the Pro-Chancellor for Sage University Indore. Dr. Prashant is a renowned educationist and an efficient administrator and a man of dynamism. He is an appropriate example of modesty and simplicity with sculptured thoughts. He believes that education can transform the society from have-nots to haves. Not only the hope in life, but faith and self-resilience can also give the best which you can return to the society. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Taranjot. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kuvar Shekhar Vijendra, the Chancellor for Shobit University. Mr. Vijendra is a co-founder and Chancellor for Shobit University, India, and a prominent social entrepreneur based out of New Delhi, who carries leadership roles in many organizations. He's a co-chairman, National Council of Education of the Association Society. He's a persistent advocate of initiatives for education for all, secular values, crisis management through diplomatic and peaceful ways, and globalized systems of learning and peaceful coexistence. He has been an instrumental in development of a number of higher education institutes, research centers, and a hospital in the northern part of India. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Namaskar, and thank you for having me today with you.
Professor Jaishankar Warrier, the Vice Chancellor for GD Goenka University. Professor Warrier has 25 years of experience in teaching, research, leadership. He has been faculty in various institutions in India, including the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, VIT Vellore, VIT Chennai, the Galgodias universities, to name a few. Professor earned his PhD from the Duke University, USA, in the physical chemistry and BTech from IIT Madras in chemical engineering. A very warm welcome, Professor. Dr. P. Giridhar Kini, the Director of Admissions and the Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Dr. Kini is a member of IEEE and as a reviewer of IEEE and IET journals. He has published many papers in journals and conferences. His research interests are in electrical machinery, energy management systems, power quality and photovoltaic systems. Glad to have you, Dr. Kinney.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Sanjay Srivastava, the Managing Director of Manav Rachna Educational Institutes. Professor Sanjay Srivastava has been the Managing Director for the Manav Rachna Educational Institutes, Faridabad, and the Vice Chancellor for Manav Rachna Institute of Research and Studies. He's a PhD scholar from the organizational culture from University of Delhi, an expert in psychometric profiling and a trainer practitioner of transactional analysis and NLP. Dr. Srivastava has many awards to his credit and has been a recipient of the National Talent Scholarship in the Education and the Young Scientist Award in Psychology in 1994. A very warm welcome, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you. Now, starting with the topic at hand, Mr. Burlia, can we have your first comments on the topic, please? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for organizing these. It's always wonderful to meet my fellow colleagues in the education space. And I must admit, we don't meet in person as often now, thanks to the COVID-19 thing. So it's wonderful that we have here. I'm just going to touch upon three very simple things. We were very, very lucky. All the APJ education institutions, APJ Satya University, even our schools, we had the last 5 years done perhaps an over-investment into information technology. So within 2 days of the lockdown, all of our timetable was 100% live. So all our classes are now fully working. Our staff, admin, everything is 100% live. So we were able to, within 2 to 3 days, run everything as if nothing happened. Obviously, a lot of mistakes were made, huge technical issues. A lot of professors who had done this as training over the last 2 years suddenly had to do it every day. But no, I deeply appreciate all the work that our faculty did, our students, more importantly, as well, because they really had to adapt themselves. But the point is that a lot of other colleges and universities, and I would say the vast majority of them in India, were not similarly prepared, and they still aren't today. Many of them are struggling. They are trying to do one or two experiments here and there. They have to retrain their faculty. They have to change the engines of the airplane while it's flying. This is not an easy task. And the good universities, all of them here present today, will be fine. But what's going to happen is, and I've had a lot of conversations with senior education leaders. We've been lending a hand to a lot of other colleges and universities who do need help and support during this time. A lot of them have given up. They're basically saying, you know what, we can't do this. We can't do this from home. We were never ready to do 100% timetable or even half a timetable online. And that is very sorry to see the horrible impact that has happened on education across the country. And, it's a real crisis and we should not undersell it. The other problem is that while people are talking about opening up of the economy in the next 15 days, 30 days, 2 months, it is highly doubtful that education institutions are going to be allowed to open anytime before end July, maybe even August. Our counterparts in the US are telling us that they are planning for Jan 2021 now. Many of the top universities in the world are already telling us that they might skip an entire semester and just do it all online. So these are going to be hard times, and this, in my opinion, will completely change the education landscape. A couple of things are going to happen. India had the strange part of having almost an excess capacity of 2x of the seats compared to what was required by students in the economy and what was the demand creation for education. I think it's wonderful that India is one of the few places in the world where parents emphasize education to such a large extent, and that has really driven up the growth of what we're seeing around us. But I fully expect the vast majority of colleges and universities who had been set up without a strong vision, which have been set up without strong leadership, and who don't have a huge financial cushion, even if they are well-intentioned, they're not going to survive this. We are already seeing that within 3 to 6 months, many of them may have to declare bankruptcy. Many of their staff will have to be asked to go home. Some of our regulators have been very positive. Others have said, look, you have to pay all salaries all the time, but guess what? You can't take fees. For institutions in India who don't have deep pockets, who don't have access to finance and loans at this time, they will go under. Make no mistake about this. And so one of the big things all of us in this panel and many of the people in our audience have to be prepared for is a massive shakeup in the education industry. This is going to happen at every level. It's going to happen at the very basic level where we have faculty being asked to leave, students who had enrolled suddenly finding that they don't have a university or college to go to, at the college and university level where many will go under, many will cut down. They will say, look, we need to cut our expenses by 50%, we need to cut our departments by 50%, all programs that are not being able to bring in funding have to go. These will be very hard decisions, and all of us here need to step up and support our colleagues at this time. We need to support students all across India and find a way to help them out. This isn't a time to be running around and competing or trying to say that, oh, I'm better, you're better, bigger rank, higher rank, which is the classic issue this, everybody does. We all need to come together and to really have a unified front for the nation and for our students. The second big thing I want to say is that, look, I think India is blessed. We are absolutely blessed. If you compare us to what's happening to a lot of countries around the world, they haven't been able to get their act together in terms of stopping the spread of COVID-19, their economic systems, their institutions. We keep saying India needs to reform and improve, but to be honest, we are better off from a lot of countries in the world. And so in terms of a long-term economic crisis, I think India will become a silver lining in 6 to 7 months. You have a huge amount of quantitative easing happening. The US itself is pumping in more money than it has spent on all the previous wars combined. With the exception of the world wars and such, all the 4 to 5 times the total money spent bailing out the last 2008-2010 downturn. Similarly, this is happening across the world. At the end of this, in 6 months, 7 months, most people will find that there are very few places for where this money has to go, particularly since it's no strings attached money. India is a logical destination, and I won't go into why it is, but it is one of the few places where people will still invest and get good returns. It's highly likely with the crash of oil and the crash of luxury and high-end demand, we are going to see a huge trade surplus. At the end of year, first time in decades for us to even think of having a trade surplus that's going to stabilize the rupee. So my point is that people shouldn't be all gloom and doom in the next 6 months, 9 months. The key thing is how to survive until then, how to ensure that the decisions we made, hard decisions, are made today so that we are able to survive. And in 6 to 9 months, you're able to open back stronger and in an economy which is now starting to go up. This is very important for students as well, because, this is a cliche, but I'll say it again and again. The jobs that we are seeing that will come in 6 to 9 months are very different than the jobs that we saw maybe 6 months ago. I think the way work has changed has fundamentally, going to impact everybody. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for young people to step up to the shoes of older people who are perhaps more highly paid, but companies can't afford them anymore. And so there's going to be a huge surge of demand for young, intelligent, well-trained people. And if I were to give advice to young people today, is that, if your college, like if you're with APJ and you're running classes, fantastic. If your university or college has not been able to get their act together yet, if they're not running their full timetable yet, don't worry about it. They will get their act together soon. What you need to do right now is you need to go online and start educating yourself, start taking training, start taking courses. So when the economic uplift does happen in 6 to 7 months, you walk in with credentials that make you an absolutely preferred candidate for this. And this is hugely, hugely important. For those in the education industry, you all know the severe impact this is happening. You're seeing the impacts across the board. I think one of the big positives for education is in a time of crisis. We saw this in 2008, we saw this in 2000. For those of you who remember, and I certainly read history books, we saw this every couple of decades. When there is a contraction, when there is a recession, the only thing that helps is education. If you are educated, if you're qualified, you are in a great shape and form to weather this out. So I think it's going to be a huge upsurge in people saying, look, I can't coast on my old credentials anymore. I can't just use what I did 20, 30 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. I need to seriously look at re-educating myself, seriously look at taking a college degree, because I can't find a job otherwise. And I think that is going to open up a dramatic surge of students in the next 6 months, 1 year. So, underlining key factor, huge positives going forward, huge positives going forward. I cannot tell you how optimistic I am about 6 to 9 months from now. The big focus on all of us is how to survive these 6 to 9 months and use this time wisely, because you can either take it as a horrible thing that's happening, that's destroying everything, or you can take it as an opportunity to build, to strengthen, and to really set yourself up for the opportunities that will come 6 to 9 months from now.
Thanks, Dr. Aditya. That's a really great, some very great points in the discussion. We'll come back to the point specifically regarding the financial aid that can be provided specifically during this COVID-19. We'll be coming back to that. Meanwhile, to our 600 plus viewers that are online as of now, please start pouring in new questions. We'll be getting to the polls very soon as well. So डॉक्टर प्रशांत जैन सर, आपके पहले कमेंट्स, मतलब आपका क्या टेक है इस टॉपिक में, एडमिशंस के रिगार्डिंग कोविड-19 से क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ा है?
जी देखिए, कोविड इम्पैक्ट अपने आप में पूरा एक ऐसी चीज हो गई है कि जो फर्स्ट टाइम पूरे वर्ल्ड को उन्हें हिला के रख दिया, अपन बोलते हैं। और हम सबके सब एजुकेशनिस्ट इसी बात कर रहे हैं कि जो वर्ल्ड कि हम कैसे इसको फेस कर रहे हैं, और एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन हम लोग उसको बहुत अच्छे से फेस कर। जरूर प्रॉब्लम जाएगा, हम लोग 3 महीने 6 महीने की हमारी साइकिल जरूर थोड़ी सी डिले होगी को लेके, जो अभी परिस्थितियां उसको लेके, लेकिन क्योंकि बीइंग एन एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन देंगे, क्योंकि हमें सबको एजुकेशन देनी है, हम बढ़ेंगे उस पर। जैसे कि आदित्य जी ने बताया, हमारी भी 2 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं और 3 इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस हैं, सागर इंस्टीट्यूट के नाम से, SIRT के नाम से, और सेज यूनिवर्सिटी इंदौर में और भोपाल में। डे 1 जिस दिन से 21st को जैसे ही हुआ था, उसी दिन हम सब ने 22nd से पूरा ऑनलाइन और वर्चुअल उस पर अपने आप को शिफ्ट कर दिया। थोड़ा सा जरूर मुश्किल गई वर्चुअल सेटिंग करने में, क्योंकि वर्चुअल स्किल लाने के लिए दोनों को माइंडसेट चेंज करना पड़ता है, टीचर को भी और स्टूडेंट को भी। लेकिन 2-3 दिन के अंदर में ही हमने सारा सब चेंज कर दिया, और उसका ये फ़र्क देखा कि आज 100% जो टाइम टेबल से पूरी क्लासेस लग रही हैं, सारे बच्चे उस पर काम कर रहे हैं। तो अडाप्टेबिलिटी वैसे भी इंडियंस की बहुत फास्ट होती है, तो हम लोग इस चीज़ को आराम से ओवरकम कर लेंगे। जो है कि बाहर के देशों में जैसे दिक्कत जा रही है, जैसे मैं कल ही यूएस का पढ़ रहा था कि यूएस में 31 स्टेट्स ने 1 साल के लिए पूरा एजुकेशन सिस्टम को अपना उनने आगे बढ़ा दिया है पूरा, कि अगले साल 21 के बाद ही क्लासेस चालू होंगी, स्कूल चालू होंगे। 3-4 बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ ने भी पूरा बंद कर दिया, और साथ में बहुत यूनिवर्सिटी ने उसको पूरा ऑनलाइन पे, वर्चुअल पे ही आ गए वो। तो ठीक है हम लोग, लेकिन उसको मुझे लगता है कि इंडिया में इतनी बड़ी स्थिति तो नहीं आएगी, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो कदम बहुत पहले उठा लिए, उससे हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा सस्टेन कर चुके हैं। तो अगले महीने 2 महीने का जरूर हमें टाइम स्लॉट हमारा डिले होगा, लेकिन उसके बाद मुझे लगता है बहुत अच्छे से स्टार्ट हो जाएगा।
Thanks, Dr. Prashant. Thanks a lot for the point. We'll be coming back to the point जहाँ पे आपने कहा कि 2 महीने से डिले होगा. We'll come back to that as well. Mr. Kumar Shekhar Vijendra, you are known for the kind of philanthropy you specifically do. You have just recently just put your hostel as well as an hospital. Sir, what is your take on this comment? How the admissions are going to get impacted because of COVID-19?
Ranjit, thank you very much. And as I represent Shobit University, there are 2 universities. One is Shobit Deemed University, which is in Meerut, and second is Shobit University Uttar Pradesh, which is in district Saharanpur, in a small town. So if we look at the location of both the universities, one is in a Tier 2 city, Meerut, and one is in Tier 3 city. So if I look at the COVID impact first, so as Aditya was explaining that everything has gone online and everybody was working in that direction. We all were waiting for a disruption to come in education. In industry, it came decade back. Industry 4.0 we are talking today, but nobody was ready and prepared mentally that this disruption will come so fast. And I have a conviction that every disruption gives us a reason for new creation. That new creation is of the mindset, the new creation is of the facilities, the new creation is of a new world. What today is happening, we all are doing experiments. I will not say that it is 100% happening because limitations may not be at the part of the universities, but at the part of a student, and especially if you are students, maybe a small number, 20-30% students, they are from rural areas. So challenges of connectivity, availability of right devices, a lot of things are there. But the interesting thing is that very fast everybody adopted this change. And we all are today working online. However, if I look at online education, it is not complete education, it is more transfer of information and all those data. Student and teachers both are missing a lot of things what had to happen. But it has given a good thing that everybody has become self-learner. What we were talking since long that Indian education system, we are more focusing on teaching, not learning. Today, every student is a learner, self-learner, and even teachers, they have become co-learner. And this co-learning is the best thing what is happening in education scenario today in India. When I look at other things, like I'm very happy that a lot of things what we miss in the schools, in the universities, especially in higher education, that we have learned in last 30-35 years. So I call it 6C. I will like to mention it. Like right from curiosity, we had curiosity 30 days back, to courage to fight it, compassion, commitment, collaboration, and calmness. I believe this is the take of COVID, what everybody as an individual or has taken. So now, if I look at the admission impact, there are more than 6 million students, those who are waiting for entrance examinations. They do not know when the entrance examination will happen. There are millions of students, those who are waiting for their 12th examination to be completed. They do not know when the results will come. Curiosity is there, anxiety is there, uncertainty is there. We may go online platforms like Collegedunia, they are doing wonderful job to connect us with the prospective aspiring students. But a lot of things are missing. And that missing part, that anxiety needs to be catered and addressed by the institutions only. Like every university, school, wherever I am speaking in last 30 days, I am requesting them that have one COVID psychological helpline, tele helpline. And that helpline is needed not only for the students, that is needed for their parents also. Because that pressure what they have, where they will go, what will happen when this JE will happen, when this NEET will happen, what will happen to them. So that needs to be addressed. If I look at what impact will be there on our universities, we all are privileged universities. Maybe impact will be less because a lot of students, those who were planning to go to US, those who were planning to travel abroad for higher education, they may not go. They may like to stay here, and institutions, those who are good, those who are able to provide quality education, they will get more students here. But different challenge will come that number of international students, those who are coming to our campuses, that may change now. So if I look at it in total, the book, everything, now blue ocean strategy has to be there. We all were in a red ocean. We all were fighting with each other. There was a competition. We were all were talking only about ranking and this and that. what number I have. Now we have to fight. And what Aditya was telling, coming 6 months or a year is the toughest, which will test our capacities, our capabilities, and not only of the institutions or the promoters, of the teachers also, of academicians also. Are they able to survive? Because to survive, they have to learn, they have to bring the change, one in themselves and then into the environment. The solutions, if I look at, Honorable Prime Minister was speaking 2 days back, and he said new mantra has to be there, business mantra has to be there, which I found very apt even in higher education institutions also. So he was talking about vowels, A, E, I, O, U. I believe many of you must have read it. So A was adaptability for him, E was efficiency, I was inclusivity, O was opportunity, and U was universalism. I believe every institution has to look into that if admissions have to be seen. We have to adopt new technologies and we have to make the youth learn. If even if I adopt and society will not adopt or they are not aware, it will not happen. Those who are sitting in tier 2 cities, be it Bhopal or Indore, Bhopal may not be tier 2, but Meerut is. But those who are sitting there, this challenge will come. We have to make people understand that how it is. We have to be very efficient also and very inclusive also. One important point where I must appreciate Aditya again, that is handholding. Many institutions, degree colleges, even Sarkari schools or small schools, they are not in position neither to deliver their classes today nor to counsel their students what will happen to them after their 12th and where they can go for admissions. So this hand holding also becomes a responsibility of institutions like ours, that we have to go to the society, we have to even provide them technology and opportunity to make them understand that how it can be possible. So more inclusiveness has to be there. We have to come together. It is an opportunity of being a self learner. It is an opportunity to create new knowledge. It is an opportunity to create a new world. After World War One, World War Two, the world was different, and we have to understand that after COVID also, globally the things will be different altogether. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Thanks, Mr. Cooper. We'll be getting back to the post-corona world as well. We'll be discussing about that as well. Meanwhile, the polls are on to the viewers. The polls are on from us, from our side. Please go ahead and give the polls. Dr. Kinney, what are your first comments on the topic?
See, it's a very uncertain situation. Every day happens to be a new day. It's not a routine day anymore. A couple of months back, probably it would have been very routine to get up and go through the day's proceedings and end the day, but not anymore. Being locked up at home, we are exposed to social media, the digital media. We keep getting news here and there, and all the channels keep speaking the same. So from that point of view, whatever plans we make in the morning tends to change in the evening. And especially for parents and children, some of them do not. Some of them have completed their examinations. Uh, some of them have one or two examinations pending. So parents are apprehensive about the situation. When are the exams going to be? When my son or daughter should start studying? There is no certainty because a date is not fixed for the examination. Because once that is done, then only the next stage of looking for the next stage of the career starts. And now the examinations have not yet got over, so still it becomes an uncertain whether the exams are going to at how quickly or at what time frame the exams are going to be. So there is a good probability of knee-jerk reactions, making decision based on what are we fed through the social media. Because most of us would have made plans of going crisscrossing the country, joining the institute of our choice, taking the course of our choice. Now that goes out of the window because our decision then happens to be based on the happenings in the media. And remember, all these decisions affect us uh, because the courses are, an undergraduate course happens to be a 3 year or a 4 year course. So whatever decisions you take today will definitely will affect us for the next 3.5 years definitely. So it is very important that parents and as well as the children realize that reacting knee jerk is not the solution. We should treat education as an investment, not as an expenditure. When we start looking at the fee structures of a particular university with the other, we tend to base decisions economically. And especially in uncertain times like this, let us not base the critical decision based on economics. Let us treat this as an investment. Utilize the free time for making good homework about which university is good, which institute is good, which course is good. You get a lot of help materials on the social media. Go to the website. So we have a lot of free time. So rather than believing in being part of any WhatsApp group and sharing this and that, which actually serves no purpose, the ultimately we have to stay safe. We have to stay at home. Staying at home, let us do the right thing in terms of trying to do some homework in understanding what each course has to offer, which normally we would not have spent enough time because the mindset, the decision is already taken. I'm sure even if this corona issue would not have happened, 99.9% of the parents would have probably fixed upon the courses their children would have wanted to take up. They would have wanted the competitive examinations to appear for. But being now being sitting at home, everybody will be reevaluating their plans of where to send their kids, which course to take, how safe is uh, the the location, and so on. So it is time to just sit back, relax a little bit, and make some homework. And this basically is for the parents as well as the children perspective. From the institution's perspective, yes, the world has changed for us because what was going according to the plan right up till end February. Suddenly we start reading more about an uncertainty coming around, uh, which will be facing in the future. And one fine day, suddenly we have to get into a lockdown with no access to office facilities, no access to the students, and it certainly took a couple of days to establish the connect back in terms of webinars, in terms of engagement opportunities, and so on. So it's an uncertain time for the institutions as well. But when uncertainties come, as rightly put, we also have to come up with innovative things in terms of how to project ourselves to the prospective students, to the parents. And as I mentioned a while back, knee-jerk reaction is not the solution. The government is making every effort to ensure that the situation is safe for everybody across the country before they even take the decision of declaring the entrance examination dates for the JEE main. And only after that, I'm sure all of the universities will take the cue to declare their dates. And the world has definitely changed, and all of us need to adapt accordingly. And the decision making should be, this is the best time to sit back and make a lot of decisions which will really impact the impact future. So uh, that's all I have to say at this moment for the format.
Thanks, Dr. Kenny. Thanks a lot. Professor Sanjay Srivastav, sir, your thoughts, please, on this topic. will COVID be impacting the
Thank you
admissions
so
of
much.
2020?
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity, and especially I am quite happy to see Aditya ji and Kumar ji, because last time we met in a panel discussion like this, and it is always a pleasure to speak after Aditya ji, especially because most of the points he covers up, articulates so well that you don't have to talk much. And Kumar ji, I am a big fan of him. He's an entrepreneur and a thinker par excellence. And what points he said, let me put it differently. First and foremost, I would be taking a lot of points what Aditya ji has already said, because he has covered a complete canvas with different colors, and he has given a comprehensive perspective about sector education. See, we have gone back to B2B and B2C. The B2B is back to basics and B2C is back to character. And this is the acid test for the education sector, and I'm sure that all the educational institutions of the country, they will come back with flying colors. This education sector, I will divide between public and private. This is a bigger acid test which will test their character, integrity, and in totality, how good they are when it comes to compassion, perseverance, and passion. Those institutions who are serving with a sense of purpose and they know their agenda, they know where to go, they will reach there. And what Aditya ji has rightly said, that next 10 months would be a game changer. And this game changer will differentiate like what we call traditionally Samudra Manthan. Amrit and Vish will be out. Those institutions who are seriously focused with a sense of purpose and they value their stakeholders, they will come out with flying colors. And especially education being listed as non-essential, and after many years I discovered that I have spent my whole life for something which comes under non-essential category. I gave a good laugh to myself. And fair enough. With this backdrop, when going gets tough, tough gets going. So I personally feel that Indian private institution or Indian public sector educational institution will be divided into three different quartiles. Those institutions who are agile, innovative, who value disruption, who welcome change, they will come back with flying colors. And mind my sentence, intentions are most important word here. So institution with right intent and those who have done good karma in the past, prarabdha. What Aditya ji has said, that all those institutions who spend a lot of time and energy in information technology and those who are connected with their students will come back with the flying colors. And I am happy to share that I come from Manav Rachna Educational Institution. We have dozens of schools in different parts of the country, and we have 2 universities and a dental college. I am very happy to share that our dental college, they have record attendance online of 98 to 100% in all the classes from past 1 month. And in many of our engineering programs where we were struggling with the class attendance, now I am happy to share with you all that every day number of students are going up and the minimum percentage is 85 to 95. So those institutions who are connected with their students, we have conducted series of workshops for our faculty, especially how to be an online faculty, online teacher, and what would be your role as the assessor, and move from evaluation to assessment perspective. So all this we have covered, and all those institutions who are investing in webinars, panel discussion, one-to-one counseling, subject-based testing and analysis, and those who are seriously working for their faculty, they will come back with flying colors. I take this opportunity to compliment Collegedunia also, the way they have connected with their stakeholders, and I'm sure you are going to help all the possible stakeholders in a big way. We'll come back again when needed. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the kind comments as well. Sir, Mr. Balia, coming back to you, specifically regarding the point that the hard decisions that the universities will have to take with letting go of few people, because to maintain the balance sheet at the end of the day. But to the other side of the spectrum, how can fee structures and financial aid be actually offered to attract the talent or attract the students for enrolling in the admissions, specifically amidst this pandemic?
And I take a very pragmatic view on this, and particularly during hard times such as COVID-19 and this coronavirus. And we saw this in 2008, and again, we saw this in 2000. Using pretty words and platitudes doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the people who are suffering. It doesn't help the people who are in uncertain times. You need to be very, very compassionate, but you need to be very, very honest. I think what is going to happen is a few things. One, see, the institutions on this panel, we have good balance sheets. We are well backed. We don't have as much to worry. I am, however, getting calls from colleges and universities all across India who are asking, sir, we need to do something because fees are the only way we pay the bills.
Yeah.
And because of that, what's going to happen is that they're going to have a severe balance sheet disruption. And they are going to at least have 2 to 3 or 4 months where the inflow of money versus the outflow in terms of having to pay salaries and maintaining themselves is going to be very difficult. So I'll first talk quickly about the hard decisions that will have to be made. I think for those institutions who have very strong faculty who are all in together, they will voluntarily take pay cuts. They will voluntarily take furloughs for 2 to 3 to 6 months, especially those who are unable to assume a full teaching schedule. Most, like I said, I don't think anybody on this panel will have to do that, but I do suspect most colleges and universities across India will have to do that. It'll start off with the private sector, but I don't think it'll be restricted to that. I think it will start moving to the public sector as well, as the government will find that it can no longer fund these universities and colleges the way they used to, given the huge amount of deficit that they're going to have to run for the next 1 year.
Yeah.
There are going to be hard decisions in terms of what programs to cut. I think a lot of colleges and universities started programs just for the fun of it. They didn't have the faculty, they didn't have the systems in place, and they said, look, this sounds very nice. So-and-so major university has started, I'll also start this program. So I think people are going to have to take a hard look at their departments, at their programs, and they're going to have to cut them down, especially where there are not sufficient students that are coming in. But this is also a good thing. It will result in people focusing on core areas. It will result in colleges and universities looking at their core strengths moving forward, and the resources they will have will start to apply to a more concentrated number of faculty and students. On the financial aid part, I think, look, I think everybody here knows and has seen the impact of what financial aid has on our admissions. And those who can offer will. But I'll tell you a story. I was talking to somebody, and I won't use the name of the university. It's a very well-known private university in India, and they were getting a lot of demands from parents and all that you have to waive fees. And he was saying, Aditya, government hasn't waived taxes. They haven't waived electricity charges. They haven't waived EMI. When the government is not waiving taxes, how do you expect us to waive fees? And I thought that was a very, very important point. I think there is a random expectation that for some reason education institutions are filled with money, and especially private ones are filled with money, and they just have to dole it out to the students for financial aid. And this is absolutely not true. We all know internally what the state of the of most schools and colleges are in the country, particularly the private ones, but even honestly the government ones. And so I think, look, I think people like us on this panel will offer financial aid, and we might offer conditional financial aid. We'll still offer scholarships. If you look at all of us here, most of us are already offering major scholarships for meritorious students all across. Will some of us make exceptions and say, okay, maybe a little bit more for those who are financially strained? Absolutely. But my concern comes more from the fact that when you have a systemic issue all across, uh, financial aid and giving financial aid is only going to push the losses down further. And this is my big worry, is if you're going to give 80% scholarships, 90% scholarships, yeah, at the margin you've got some money now, but your balance sheet is destroyed for the next 4 years, for the next 2 years. And I think that focus has to come in. I do see a lot of innovative stuff happening around education loans. I see there's a lot of opportunities there around financial aid being converted and packaged in a manner that is more pragmatic during these times. But I think right now, at least for the next 6 to 9 months, I would be very worried if a college or a university is giving a huge amount of blanket financial aid to attract students. That should not be the value proposition a college or a university offers. Come to us, we are the cheapest. Come to us, we are giving discount. We're not selling cell phones. We're not selling biscuits. 2 ka 1 offer, 1 ka 1 offer, all that stuff. We're trying to provide education. I think financial aid is appropriate where you have genuine, meritorious students who need help and support. But that was applicable before COVID. It will be applicable after COVID. I see, of course, the numbers of people who get financial help increase, but I worry if colleges depend on financial aid too much to fill up enrollments now, because it's not sustainable for them in the future.
Thanks, Mr. Aditya. Mr. Kaur, what's your thought? Any philanthropic thought out here with respect to ensuring financial aid specifically for the talented students?
Dharanjot, if you look at, we have to look into sustainable models. And those sustainable models, as Aditya was mentioning, they have to be sustainable for the students as well as for the universities and institutions. Education in India is seen as an investment. And huge aspirations are there. We have seen a lot of crisis, economical crisis in past also, but education was always there and it will remain there. All universities are offering scholarships. Support systems are there. Like if I talk about Shobit University, we have a large number of scholarships. Those who are there always, like for girls, we offer any girl who is joining us, irrespective of anything, they get 20% scholarship because we wish that more girls should come and study. We have like national integration scholarships for the states where economical crisis will be more. And we have scholarships for meritorious students. We have scholarships for wards of martyrs, like they come and they study with us free of cost. So these scholarships will remain there. And what change will come, that traveling to other cities will be less this time. And it will not be less that good institutions are there, they should study, because parents are more worried. If I look at, like my son is studying in the University of California. He is in US. He is an engineering student. And the fall semester has been declared offline. It means throughout the year, he will not be studying. The university is not offering any discount in the fee. They said, okay, fine, you have to, because we are delivering to you. What we have to deliver, we are delivering to you, we will be delivering. And if somebody feels that going online or anything, it is cutting the cost, it is actually increasing the cost. For admission purpose, if I say I am the cheapest, you come and join me, in India, nobody is going to come to the cheapest. Even when China said that I am the cheapest, you come and join our universities, except in medical, nobody went there. And medical only also not due to the price, due to non-availability of the seats in the country. What we have to do, one, we have to cut some of the courses which are not doing well. Two, we have to focus on more relevant courses like health-related courses. They will be more in demand in coming years because the student is not joining us today. After 4 years, what will happen with his career has to be seen. Socially relevant research has to happen, and more funding will come from that. Because like institutions, if they feel that only tuition fee is the source of income, then it is a wrong perception. Abroad, if I look at around 40% revenues coming from tuition fees, rest is coming from other projects. In India, it may be around 60 to 70%, I believe. But it means universities, institutions, they should look into new projects also. And we have to ensure that students, those who are coming to us, they are not coming to us because we are offering them something free or on a cheaper rate, but it should be more relevant. This is one. And if a philanthropic part has to be seen, as I mentioned, already a lot of things are happening in all institutions. Maximum of the institutions, they are doing a lot of things. Wonderful things are happening. As in the opening remarks you mentioned, like in our both the universities, in one of our university in Saharanpur, we have an Ayurvedic medical college. And their 100-bed quarantine facility we created even before the lockdown started. The same way, in our international hostel wing in Meerut, we developed a 100-bed quarantine facility and handed it over to the district administration. Why I'm mentioning this thing to you? We have to understand that now universities, schools, institutions cannot remain island of excellence. We have to be connected with the mainland, and that connection has to be such that I mentioned earlier also somewhere, there was a advertisement used to come long back of Oneida TV. See? It was owner's envy and what it was like a neighbor's envy, owner's pride. And generally the institutions are doing the same thing. Now we have to connect with the society. We have to see if there is a requirement, we have to go and fulfill that requirement. But financial impacts will be there. Admission, cutting the fees because you are not cutting the salary. And as Aditya was mentioning, I will like to disagree with him. We cannot compromise even with the good professors. We cannot ask them to leave because they are required there. We cannot work only with the young lecturers. Yes, we will be having more people maybe coming from industry, coming from outside, because if offline teaching will happen more, then for soft skills, environment will not be there. It means we have to give it online. For many other skills, we have to work. And that part, universities and institutions should start right now in association with the schools, using platforms like Collegedunia. It should not be that only we are interacting. We should interact more with the students now. We have to address them. I'm seeing the questions here. And among these questions, many questions are coming what we should do. People are desperate. My 12th examination is not over. What I should do? Schools have no answer to give them. Our regulators have no answer to give them. They are still looking for the policies to come. So, one, we have to become facilitator. Two, we have to request our regulators to become facilitator. However, they are working on that very seriously. And then only the solution will come. And impact of this COVID-19 on admissions, again, I am telling, it will be there, but not that much as we all fear. Because a lot of students, those who are going abroad, they will love to stay in India back home. And it may be an advantageous proposition for all of us. Thank
I'd
you.
just like to quickly do one quick clarification, Rajiv. We are on the same page. I think good universities and colleges who can preserve their excellent faculty will do so and should do so. My worry is less, and these are remarks, by the way, which we had shared before the webinar started. And my worry was that a lot of corporates, not as much academic institutions, corporates
I
are the ones
Yes.
who might have to downsize some of their staff, and that was an opportunity for education institutions, a silver lining, because they might then want to hire a lot more freshers to fill up those gaps. But I would be very sad to see that happen, and I'd be very sad to see if any good quality faculty member who has contributed for decades and decades has any issue during this time.
I agree.
Taking a cue from Mr. Coover, I would want to ask you specifically that do you see the localization of admissions happening? I mean, 83% of the respondents, even in our poll, said that yes, students will be preferring local colleges and universities instead of moving out. So you also see that localization of admissions happening this year?
It will happen. It will be more.
Dr. Kiri, what are your thoughts on this? Do you see localization happening?
See, as I said, as a knee-jerk reaction, yes, because our mind nowadays tends to be ruled by what we see on social media, what is being shared on a daily basis. Some of the facts may or may not be true as well. But then again, we have to take a decision, and the decision has to be based on something. And unfortunately, because of the current situation, remember the lockdown happened across the country in places where there were no COVID situation at all. We started from that particular point, and it was the same for across the country. And then we had the numbers starting to build up, and on a daily basis, most of that becomes breaking news, and that creates some sort of a hysteria that this place is getting affected, that place the numbers are increasing, and these are the places I wanted my child to go for his or her education. So from that point of view, if you see, localization might happen only if there is a knee-jerk reaction. But post COVID, when things get back to normalcy, or at least things should be considered as normal, then it should be normal across the country. It should be safe across the country. And when we say safe, it should be safe to just move out of the house, move out of the locality, move travel within the city, travel across cities, across states. So from that point of view, localization will only be a knee-jerk reaction. But when you talk about a 4-year program, when you talk about a 3-year program, it is just not about doing first year of your program in one particular place because of the situation, and then think about doing that is not possible in the Indian context. So that's why I made the point of not taking decisions based on what we currently see and what we currently fear. When the government declares that yes, it is safe to move out of the house, move out of the city, then all the things will start moving forward. All the entrance examination dates will be there. Then it is time to look at places where you think it is very safe based on the data which is already available for the last 3-4 months. In addition to that, this is the free time to really start thinking about the courses that you want to take up, the process that you want to, whether you really want to take this admission test. So it is not, so from the parents' perspective, yes, the localization might be the answer. But remember that, for students who are in their final year, students who have just passed out and who have just completed around 6 to 8 months of their professional experience, they are out of the campus, they are out of their homes, they are in a whole new world altogether where they have to take care of themselves on their own. So it's not about safety post COVID. Maybe something which just to be on the uh, to, just to be on the safer side, or just to feel comfortable about the situation. But in the long run, in terms of a career, in terms of the growth ahead, once the government decides that the things are normal, then I think we should really look at following up on our plans that we had pre-COVID. So it is a bad phase. We all have to stick together and support the government in taking the right in the decisions being taken. Because if all of us follow the guidelines that are given, I think we get over this lockdown as well as the uh, situation very quickly. Whereas if we take things for granted and if we assume that it is not going to affect me, I'm going to put somebody else in danger and just going to prolong the process rather than solving the process. So knee-jerk reaction is not the solution. It is more to do with the post-COVID situation. The world is going to be better. The world is going to be new, and it is going to present a whole lot of opportunities, not only from the education perspective, but also for the people who are in the second year, third year, and fourth year. There are going to be a lot of opportunities beyond that. So it may be a small delay, but then sometimes the success is sweet when we wait for it. So let us all hope for the best. And
Yes. Doctor,
yeah.
thanks, Dr. Ginita. Dr. Srivastav, do you see slashing of courses happening? Are the universities going to slash down few courses in lieu of these recent events? Dr. Srivastav, you're mute. Dr. Srivastav, you're mute.
Yes, sir. Please speak now.
What?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, very much, sir. Yes. Please tell, sir. Do you see slashing of courses happening? Universities cutting down on the courses?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, fair enough. See, you have asked that university would be cutting the courses. My answer is no. We are going to shorten our academic calendar, but by and large, it is not going to compromise on the academia at the university. We are going to compromise on many things, but not for sure on the academic front. Because right now, all those universities who are progressive, they are conducting online classes, but we have made a promise to all our students on campus that the day we start our campus, first 2 weeks dedicatedly we will be going to lab work. Only then we will talk anything else. So universities won't compromise on any courses, because for a student it is the only time when they will get a complete package in totality. As our previous speaker talked about, for me, this COVID-19 would be a test of character of an institution. And what I feel that character and reputation are two different things. So reputation has a shelf life, but character is something which goes in the memories and uh, in the life of everyone. So those institutions who show character and do not compromise on the complete product, on the world of academia, they are going to help students and take them to the different level altogether. I hope I have answered to you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Srivastav. Mr. Kuhn, you said the adaptability of the faculty of the entire ecosystem has been very agile. The adoption of digital has been very fast with respect to changing the
You are not audible.
Mr.
Rajjot, repeat your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you
Am I
can.
audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So you said the adaptability has for the entire ecosystem of education has been very fast. So how do you see digital helping out and reaching out the students of tier 3, tier 4, which were earlier coming to the colleges and universities and the campuses and taking the admission? How do you see digital reaching out to them?
Actually, if we look at the complete details, like in last 1 month, if I look at Shobit University, So it depends on the faculty and departments. Like I should not say that throughout the university, Penn University, everything was equal. If I look at our School of Ayurveda, for example, in Ayurveda, the faculty, like there is nothing available online, nothing much is available online. So every teacher has to prepare, has to go back, and the students are coming pan India, and many of them are coming from real rural areas. If I look at agriculture department of the university, maximum of the students are coming from rural areas. So adaptability at the part of university may be there, but availability and accessibility by the students is a challenge. So what we had to do, like generally what universities are doing, including Shobit, that we have a dedicated LMS, ERP systems, and we are delivering through that. But in this case, particularly, we had to adopt all available platforms, those who should be used or not, I will not comment on that. Even telephone calling was happening, even WhatsApp was used, even whatever way, even some of our faculty members, they are going on Facebook with a 30 minutes lecture, they are delivering a lecture, then they are trying to connect with the student. But the same way, if I look at our engineering department, if I look at our other faculties like biomedical engineering, biotechnology, or such departments, yes, accessibility and adaptability is very fast. So, this challenge is pan India because it depends that your student community is coming from which part, from which area they are coming, what facilities are available to them. And if I look at the faculty also, all faculty, in spite of the fact you train them, okay, best technology will work when the same mentality will be there. The mindset has to be such, yes, I am willing to adopt. And generally, adaptability comes due to two reasons. One is out of fear that I will lose my job, and one is out of passion. So, what was happening initially that we all were in fear zone. We were not knowing what to do. Everybody was under pressure that we have to deliver. But from fear zone to learning zone to action zone, we have come now. Now people understand, they enjoy it more. And very interesting facts are there that attendance is more queries are there in the sessions, online sessions, because there were so many students, those who were hesitant, those who were not asking queries. Now they have more queries and sessions have become more interactive. So now we are thinking that even after this COVID is over, which I'm not very optimistic that by 3rd of May or in June, we will have our sessions on campus. If I look at the challenges of social distancing, of all other challenges, but we have to go blended now. I was in a discussion with Professor
Yeah.
K. Agarwal, who is the chairman of National Board of Accreditation. So we were discussing on that also. And the same thing came that even in engineering, now we are looking for a possibility how we can have a blended type of education system where we ask students to come for 2 or 3 days to the campus. They come in groups, like so that social distancing and all those challenges are better. And we are now requesting the regulators also, including AICT and other people, to look into this possibility also. It means a new perspective has come, a paradigm shift has to happen. And that's why I always say that COVID-19, it has come as a crisis, but it has come with a lot of opportunities for us to create a new world in educational ecosystem. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Mr. Kuwad. Mr. Balia, quick thoughts on this. How do you see improving the quality and the diversity of the students in this scenario? How do you see that, specifically when the localization is very imminent as per the panelists? How do you see improving the quality and diversity of the student in this scenario?
See,
Quick thoughts, sir.
uh, very quickly, I think there are two basic principles you have to look at. What do you mean by diversity? And I think in 2020, the good news is that many of us have become enlightened that diversity doesn't just mean where you were born or the color of your skin. it really means diversity of experience and thought. And I think one of the best parts of India is that we do not have a homogeneous population really anywhere in the country. Even if you look at a place like NCR or or Maharashtra or South India, within most large cities and most large pockets, the so-called local, there is a huge diversity built into the country. So I think we will really benefit from that in terms of ensuring that there is a wide number of students. More importantly, people who bring a diversity of experiences, which is something that we really want to focus on. Although we do in our college and university have a large number of international students also come in, but we see that somebody who has a very different upbringing, even in the same local area, can provide an immense differentiation to the classroom experience, depending on where they come from, what their school was, what their parents do, what their community, what their experience of society was. It also, in terms of how they think, how their brain was shaped. If you want engaging classroom discussions, if you want to truly find, as we do in many of our classrooms, is really tease out and take advantages of how diversity is important. I would think diversity of experience is much more important than having 50 people from across the world, but brought up on the same films and same movies, talking the same language, from the same backgrounds. Their parents pretty much do the same businesses. That's not real diversity. The So I think that is a very important part. And I think second, in terms of quality, I echo a lot of what other panelists have said. I love the silver lining of COVID-19. We had pioneered digital in India, where we had made, in 1990s we made computer programming mandatory for all of our students when people hadn't even started looking at computers. We had a computer in every classroom by the late 1990s, beginning 2000, when people were still trying to figure out how to buy a laptop. By 2008, 2010, we were fully in the cloud. And in fact, Amazon has recognized us for us multiple times, and people hadn't even heard of what cloud was in India. And all of this came because we felt there was an urgent need, that a disruption was happening, and we were able to catch it on early. But changing people's mindset is hard. And I think what COVID-19 offers is that a lot of what many of our panelists here have been trying to do in their universities, what we've been trying to do for many decades, is to put a sense of urgency into faculty, that they need to change the way they teach, they need to upgrade how they look at classroom experiences, we need to adapt. And we've been training our faculty for this for many years, but we've never had that urgency or need to put it into practice on a 24-hour basis. I think the great opportunity for increase in quality has been this, is that faculties are forced to now go back to the drawing board and really look at how to relearn teaching from the ground up. And once you do that, it's an amazing experience of how much you can learn and how much you can grow. Also, quite frankly, what COVID-19 has taught us, that distances don't matter as much. And in terms of getting very good people to lead classes from international sources, for getting great leaders to come and talk to students, it has been an absolute eye-opening experience. So I think that those who use COVID-19, this experience of lockdown, to go back to the drawing board and reinvent themselves from the ground up, particularly in the quality of teaching, particularly in the quality of research, there is going to be an extraordinary increase in quality all across the board. The Indian education system has needed a much I won't mince my words, need a little bit of a kick to get its act together. It need a little bit of kick from our own
I think
mentality. Need a kick in terms of regulation.
that's really well put.
Kick.
That's really well put. That's really well put, Mr. Burlia. Dr. Girdhar, can you quick thoughts? Students, do you think the withdrawal percentage post the enrollment is going to increase this season? The withdrawal percentage is going to increase this season?
See, if you are going to withdraw from
will be keeping.
If you are going to withdraw from
options in hand.
No. If you are going to withdraw from somewhere, you are going to get admitted somewhere. So it all depends upon which institute you have previously applied to, which institute or university you are looking to take an admission from, and then you are going to decide whether it is worth it to spend 3 or 4 years in an institute nearby, just on the basis of an event which has already passed by. I'm talking about the post-COVID situation. And the government of the day itself declares that it is very safe across the country. So it is not going to be an easy decision. So there might not be too much withdrawals happening. But at least it will ensure that the people who are very particular about a university, particular about a course, will always travel across the country and take up the course of their choice. So as I mentioned twice,
Yeah.
the knee-jerk reaction is not the solution for the current situation.
चलिए कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ी देर में सब next आ जाएगा, कोई बात नहीं.
It should be a well thought out decision
Professor Sanjay,
because it is
Professor
going to
Sanjay,
be
70. Dr.
Yeah.
Kirti, Dr. Kini, 73% of the respondents actually believe that yes, withdrawal percentage is actually going to increase. Over to you, Dr. Sanjay. What are your thoughts on it? Do you counter Dr. Kini here? Do you think the withdrawal percentage is going to increase? I think there's some technical glitch. Mr. Kumar, do you think the withdrawal percentage is going to increase here? 73% of the respondents say that yes, the withdrawal percentage is going to increase.
It will be there, but not that much, as Professor Sridhar was mentioning, that there are students, those who want to go to a specific institution. And there are reasons too, because it is not necessary that a local institution or an institution nearby may be offering all those programs where the student aspire to be. And you had a question, Pranjot, about this diversity in the class. There was a question coming from the audience. And I will like to mention, like these 30, 35 days, they have given a confidence to the country that this country can go online without compromising the quality. It means the regulators today, be it MHRD, be it UGC or other councils, they need to see that this online education system, which is over-regulated, unfortunately, it needs to be relaxed. And that, if it comes, it will bring diversity in the classrooms, because a blended system can be there where people from the globe can join you, and they know that in the year or in the semester for some time they have to be on campus. So such models can work. And because that diversity, if I look at what in schools is happening, I'm saying I'm talking to different principals also of the schools. So on the Zoom, if there are 60 students, diversity is there, queries. And as I also mentioned, that the number of queries during the interactions online, they have increased. Many students, those who are sitting silently in the classes, they are asking questions, they are raising their hand, and there is more interaction happening, more experience sharing is happening now. So that is there, and this withdrawal percentage will increase, no doubt, for the programs which are common, which are very generic in nature. But for specialized programs, students will be moving out, because if somebody has to do something which is not available nearby, and or aspirations are there, like we have of IITs or IIMs or some other institutions, people will be moving out. So that will be there. But again, what we are doing, we are guessing the situation, and we are again like, we do not know what will happen from our experience, which we do not have actually of this crisis. We all are trying to find solutions. We all are trying to answer the questions, and but it has to happen. It has to happen.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Kuwa. We have with us Dr. Prashant Jain after a lot of technical difficulties. Prashant sir, क्या लगता है localization होगा admissions का? People will prefer कि लोग अपने city में जाएं. आपको क्या लगता है सर?
नहीं, 100% अब लोकलाइजेशन ही होगा एडमिशंस का, क्योंकि इस साल पर्टिकुलरली ये साल अब थोड़ा सा जो मन में लोगों के बैठ गया है कि जितनी तकलीफ है अभी आई है वापस आने में जाने में,
I think अब लोगों को लगेगा we have again lost. I think we have again lost it. the network connection. On that note, time for the last comments. Dr. Giridhar, can you, your last comments on the topic, please.
Yeah, it's a new world. It's time to take decisions that will have an effect on the future. Uh, Let us utilize the free time to really think about the quality requirements, the educations that is needed from our side. The institutions are also changing their admission processes slightly. This is to ensure that most of the parents and the students are at risk at this particular point in time. It's like you have online classes happening. There are universities who are doing online tests because we cannot sit idle. Our processes also have to go forward, and most of us are finding out innovative ways of starting the process, continuing the process, finishing the process of it. And this is only to be ready for the timeline when things are going to be okay, when the government decides that things are to go ahead. So um, all in all, I can say to all the attendees out here, uh, please utilize this free time for judicious decision making. Sit down with your child and really have a thought about what courses they want to take, where they really want to go. And post COVID, once the government declares that it is safe, it's really truly going to be safe. So you need not worry about whether uh, uh, I have sent my child across to a faraway location, whether the world is going to be the same. The world is going to be a lot more cleaner. The world is going to be a lot more safer because all educational institutions will be taking the necessary steps to ensure that the children are safe on their campus. They are provided with a whole lot of facilities they truly deserve in order to ensure that the learning experience is far better. Hence, you need not worry about the situation post the COVID scenario. So I wish all the attendees all the best to you, and we look forward to you taking the best decisions for your child.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Giridhar. Very well said. This is just a physical lockdown. This is not a mental lockdown. Professor Sanjay Srivastav, your closing comments, please.
Yes, I have lost the audio, but after listening bits and pieces, I could make out. And my closing comments would be that localization would have little to offer because in next uh, 4 months time things would settle and no family, no parent, no aspirant would compromise on their career. Withdrawal would be 10% more than the routine withdrawals as always happening in the universities, and those universities who show character, competence and focus approach, they would they would be as popular as they were, and all the better institutions would be giving scholarships as they were offering in the past. Again, as I said, that those who are offering discounts, those cheaper kind of mentality kind of institution will be eased out because the students are very clear. They want quality. They don't want any discount in their career and in their life. And life will be fantastic, and like health sector, I am sure that education sector will give back to this country in a big way, and the whole country would be proud of education. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Sanjay. Thanks for very positive comments. Mr. Berlia, your closing comments, please. The post-corona world, the higher education post-corona world, it will be really evolved. What are your comments, sir?
I am very optimistic. I think there's a huge silver lining that has come during this very harsh time. I think 6 months and 9 months are going to be about survival, but I think it has forced everyone to go back to the drawing board. It has exposed a lot of myths. Many people have talked about online education. Suddenly they've gone to, oh, we can't do it. To guess everybody has to do it. A lot of underlying assumptions that were made have completely shifted, and I think for those institutions who are going to take advantage of that, it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity in 6 months to 9 months time. It's a phenomenal opportunity for regulators. It's a phenomenal opportunity for the government. I see no issues at all going forward. And the key is to make sure that all of us are safe, we stay positive, but we take the hard decisions that we need to do and make today, so we can all see a revival and a better future within a very short period of time.
Very positive note, Mr. Burlia. Mr. Kuvarshekhar, your closing comments, sir.
So, I always believe that the role of universities is nation building. And nation building needs to think innovative. It cannot be on imitation. And innovative leaders are there, those who are working in this direction. COVID has given us an opportunity to be more innovative. Let us remain positive. Let us remain engaged. And I can ensure the students, the youth, that your aspirations are our inspiration. We all are working for you. And what best is possible, this country is doing for the youth. They have to remain positive, confident, whatever university they will join, they will get for what they are going there. Let them remain engaged. The session may be delayed, but any delay is not a denial. That we have to remember. And whatever comes, it comes with new learnings, new opportunities. So let us remain safe. Let us ensure the country remains safe and we contribute in the progress, in the safety, and in this fight. So that at earliest we come back to the routine and with new learnings, we do some new wonderful things together. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Kuva. A delay is not denied. Very well said, Mr. Kuva. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, that's all from our side. This is Collegedunia Connect. This was the chapter 5th. We will be coming back on 25th April as well on the young generation, how the young generations are coming up and building the higher education business. So this on the young leadership as well. On that note, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, panelists, for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pleasure.
Yeah, thank